Good night, right? Good evening, everyone. How is everyone this evening? Good, good. Glad to hear it. Welcome. Happy New Year. The first of our programs for the new year. Well, first of these monthly programs in the new year. We've been rocking and rolling since January 5th, I think, with programs at the Nature Center and in schools and other places. So we are jumping right into the new year. So we had a little respite, and we are jumping right in. So tonight is sort of a special opportunity to sort of get sort of a little bit inside scoop on what's been going on over the year. We obviously, I think everybody's gotten our annual report, so you know the big picture stuff and some of the tiny print stuff. Sorry about that. But tonight it's your opportunity to kind of get the story of what's been going on and get a sneak peek as to what's going to be happening in the next year. So we all know and love, whoopsie.
Sorry.
Wow, was that you or was that me?
That was me. I was fixing something. We're good.
I didn't think this thing was that sensitive. Excellent. So, a couple sneak previews of what's coming up. We do have our next birdseed sale on January 24th at Sunny Meadows. Casey will be there and be there with Scott Alball, who is a Wild Delight representative. He's very knowledgeable about the different bird seeds and what birds come to which seeds best, etc. So definitely suggest that. He's going to be there at 9 for his talk, and then the sale will actually begin at 10. The other sneak peek, if you're starting to get itchy with your garden catalogs coming in, we do have our online pre-order dates set. So we will start our spring plant sale, native plant sale, pre-orders on April 24th, and then please save the date for May 16th for the actual in-person sale. The pre-order is just kind of the way to make sure that you get, the plants that you really, really, really want. And then if you're willing to take more risks, the in-person sale is a great way to do it as well. And similar to the birdseed sale, we have the native plant talk at 9, but ahead of the actually, I guess the in-person sale starts at 9, but you can also do the talk. And that's Bob right there, the famous person who's going to be giving the talk along with Ian Aldrich. Excellent. And the other big news is we're about to launch summer camp registration, believe it or not. Laurel and Sonia have been figuring out summer camp already. And so we are going to be doing early registration for members only January 26th. We try to make membership perks like this available. And then the general public, the non-members, can start registering on February 2nd. So we will be ready to get those online registrations going for all of our wonderful summer camps. And one really exciting thing that we'll talk a little bit about during the presentation, but we're going to be offering 11 weeks of summer camp this summer. Figured out the schedule and everything else, and that is possible. Summer camp is popular enough that we're excited to be able to expand into that extra week. And then the next monthly program, roughly 1 month from today, February 11th, Sonia has arranged for a presentation about Farmland Raptor Program, which is taking place in Maryland. It's the Maryland Department of Agriculture. Is that what it is that does this? Anyway, come to the program and you'll find out. But it is all about conserving Maryland's farmland raptors, and it's a study done by the Farmland Raptor Program. So that's a couple things to look forward to in the near future. But tonight we're going to talk about ourselves, which is not something usually we give other people the floor, but this is our chance to give you a little bit of the scoop about what's been going on. Before we do that, though, I did want to just give a big nod and, gratitude to a couple of folks who did pass recently. Jean Neely, our founder, she founded PVAS in 1982, was active until her death on December 8th, 2025. So she was 94, still active, still telling me what to do in a wonderful way. But she just loved this organization, and I think it's really wonderful that she stayed active for her entire life. The other person who recently passed, unfortunately, is Peter Smith. Peter was the publicity chair in 2005. And he was then the president from 2006 to 2012. He was the president at an absolutely critical moment. So he helped us bring on Eidolon in partnership with the Nature Conservancy to get PVAS to manage that. And then also was part of the donation of Stalker's Marsh. So he helped get that preserve online as well. He also helped reorganize the entirety of Potomac Valley Audubon because at that point, Yankow was sort of part of PVAS, but not really part of PVAS. And I was the director of Yankow, but then we got Eidolon, so that didn't really make sense. So anyway, long story short, we reorganized things to make me the executive director so I could oversee all preserves and all programs rather than just programs at Yankow. So it was a big deal. And all of our policies and procedures were written by him. He touched many aspects of PVAS and was very critical. So both will be missed and gave huge contributions of their lives to us. Tonight, we're focusing on 1 year in the life of PVAS. This is the annual report that hopefully everyone was able to look at. And it's a great opportunity to kind of reflect on a wild and crazy year. So we're going to be all presenting on different aspects of the organization and kind of what happened and what's next. So this is the team, the amazing team of Potomac Valley Audubon. When, let's see, about 25 years ago, when little old me arrived on the scene, it was just me. And then we eventually got a couple other folks, including Ellen Murphy, who is still very actively involved with Potomac Valley Audubon. And then Ellen was able to get the summer camp program up and running in its infancy. And then now we have grown to have 8 folks, 2 part-time, actually 3 part-time, sorry, and the rest full-time folks. And we now have a home for the many years. Until about 7 years ago, we had no home. I was meeting with people in coffee shops and things like that. So it's lovely to have our own nature center and our own office space where we can gather and have a community space as well. So today we are going to be looking at what happened in the last fiscal year in preserves and conservation, what happened in education, how we did fundraising and community outreach, etc., and what investments the organization, the board, and staff have made into Potomac Valley Audubon and the community as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Casey, who will focus on the nature preserves and little bits about what happened at each, and then get into the conservation aspect of the organization as well.
Go beans. All right, hi everybody. I think everybody in this room knows me, but I'll say it anyway. I'm Casey Walters. I'm the Associate Director of Conservation and Operations. And I look over the care for the preserves and also look out for our conservation initiatives and the facilities, unfortunately, but they're important. So in the preserves in fiscal year 25, we really focused on accessibility and visitor services because we are firm believers that if you don't get the people into the nature, how are they going to know to care about the nature? They got to be there to want to do something about it and protect it. So to do this, we have to balance everything that we work for in preservation and restoration and conservation with the needs of our visitors. So we were meeting the visitor needs this last year. So at Yankow, we have now managed Yankow for 41 years. Fun fact, woohoo. And at Yankow, we did the Cedar Loop enhancements. And this was funded by a private donor. And the enhancement was laying these timbers along the edges of the Cedar Loop Trail so that somebody in any kind of with any kind of mobility assistance wouldn't fall off the edge of the trail. It gave clear, defined bumpers, increasing that accessibility. And that was a day of caring project. And I know some of you in the audience are like, well, I worked on that project, and wasn't that the year before last? Yes, but we're talking about fiscal year. So our fiscal year is September 1st to the end of August. So technically, this happened just last fiscal year. At Eidolon, we did a parking lot expansion. So if you've been up to Eidolon, it had just 2 spots before, right outside the green gate. And if somebody parked dumb in one of those spots, well, then there was no spots left. So we really wanted the front of Eidolon to get a facelift and look more like a nature preserve that was really welcoming and inviting to the community. So now I'm sure you could fit 15 to 20 cars in there if you parked efficiently. But plenty of parking for more visitors because we want to see folks get up to Eidolon. And that was paid for out of the Eidolon endowment, which was started by the Zapolians. So reimbursed through TNC. At Stoffers Marsh, we've been managing that preserve now for 14 years, and we are the owners of that preserve. And this year we worked on rerouting the Marsh Trail. So at some point in history, the trail was kind of taken off of the top of the dam down below so that you could kind of peek at the pond without startling the waterfowl. But I really wanted to see this trail back on top of the dam because it's a lot flatter surface, not such a side slope, increasing the accessibility. Stoffers Marsh is already probably our most accessible preserve in terms of just the ease of navigating the trails. And so I wanted to keep consistent with that. And fortunately, the blackberry vegetation is high enough that you still get that little peeking over the vegetation at the birds on the pond. And I think this has been really successful and really popular this year. Just getting a look at the pond more. And then at Cool Spring, we worked out on a concept plan for the green infrastructure. So we have big plans for Cool Spring because this is our home base. So this is an expanded parking lot. This is but mitigated with a stormwater basin. This is electric charging stations. This is some permeable pavers, more of an education demonstration site than actual. We're not doing the whole parking lot. And oh, you got it. So yeah, so last year we had the ideas. We just needed to lay them all out. So we were able to do a concept plan to see how all these parts and pieces are going to fit together. And that was thanks to a grant from the Chesapeake Bay Fund. Their green streets, green jobs, green towns.
Chesapeake Bay Trust.
Trust, not fund. Not CBF, CBT, because there are both.
Yep.
Good catch. All right. And then in the realm of conservation, well, I got an award last year. That was kind of cool. So National Audubon Society recognized me for being a leader in the conservation field. It was very nice of them. So I got to go up to their annual conference or biannual conference in Montreal, Canada to receive this award, and came back fully invigorated to do more conservation. Let's go for it. So in this last year, my Weed Warrior force has grown to 120. Woohoo! At our 2 native plant sales, we sold over 1,000 native plants. So that's good pollinator species getting out into our community and serving the wildlife. We had many volunteer events. Some of them were just, the basic trail work, but some of them were the special ones like the Day of Caring or the Make It Shine. And over 600 hours of volunteer work went into those work days at the preserve, which is fantastic. The Monarch Alliance was able to award 4 grants for way stations throughout our community. And this was purely coincidental, but we ended up with 1 in each of our service counties. And then the Christmas bird counts celebrated 125 years. And we still participated in our Charlestown and Inwood counts. And then finally we had our Swift night out. And during the last season, we had over 500 Swifts using the tower in one night. So that was fantastic. So what's next? I got big plans. Big. Always got big plans. That's what PVAS is, right? We are so full of ideas. It's fantastic. So next step is engineering for the green infrastructure for that concept plan. And we did secure the CBT funding again. So they are helping us with our next steps. So once we have the engineered plans, then we'll be ready to go for the implementation and actually start putting this stuff into action. I'm working on some updated preserve maps and brochures because we've had those little tweaks to the preserves with little trails moving a little over here, moving a little over there. Of course, the whole other 11 acres at Cool Spring. We're gonna be revamping the nature play space, so a lot of the elements are just starting to decay at this point. It is a nature play space, so that's what's gonna happen. So it needs some help. But we sat down and made some plans for that too. We're gonna be doing more tree plantings, of course. There's always more trees. We have nature journal boxes that are gonna be going up at every preserve. So this started, there's the one already at Cool Spring, and I was like, and visitors love to use this as like a visitor box, but it's so much more than we're here on July of whatever. They're actually writing what they observe, they're drawing what they observe, and it's really, really cool. It's encouraging people to use all the senses. So I was like, I want one of those at every preserve. So I have some volunteers working on mailboxes. So we'll have these nature journal boxes everywhere. Christmas bird count training was my big focus in the community science realm this year. And this one actually kind of already happened because we're already into the next fiscal year. And I'm happy to report that in the counts we did this year, we had 48 participants on the Charlestown count, which is all-time high. So really excited to get more and more people engaged in community science. Finally, I'm gonna put this chimney swift tower interpretive sign out there and explain to the students on this campus what that giant chimney is. Gonna do it. And then my last big vision is to have a garden gurus program. So this is meant to be a spin-off of the Weed Warrior program that has been so successful over the years, focused on garden maintenance, pollinator plant maintenance. And I have applied for a collaborative grant from Audubon. And so just, crossing our fingers, toes, and eyeballs that we hear back from that soon. So next, we will turn it over to Sonia for all things enjoying and educating.
Thanks. For this way. So, hi everybody. I'm Sonia Melander, and I'm the Associate Director of Education. So the first thing I will share with you about is our birding programs. And certainly this has a lot of overlap with the community science initiatives that Casey was talking about. But we do lots of things with birding. So we do the community science that Casey spearheads, but of course, just things for people to get their toes wet and to dive deeper. So nearly 400 people participated in these birding programs this past year. So bird walks, birding 101. So this class led by some really fantastic volunteers, and tons of other things. So these took place in a variety of locations across the Eastern Panhandle and beyond. So the photo that you see on the bottom right there, that's at Red Fox Farm. That was a special springtime one that happened in Maryland this past spring. And yeah, lots of special locations that opened up. What you see on the bottom left there is a young person who had a really incredible experience at one of our saw wet owl banding field trips, where the wonderful volunteers who do that science work open up their space to let us be a part of it. So very happy to be able to increase that partnership over this past year. Looking ahead, this month on the 27th, we're going to have our birding programs working group meeting. So if you have any desire to be involved in planning and shaping these programs ahead for the next year, we invite you to come. So that might mean that you have like a space that would be really great for a bird walk, or maybe you just have some really great ideas that you want to share and you want to be heard. So whatever that level of involvement, we definitely encourage you to come to that. But we're so much more than birds, right? We love all the pieces of nature and how it connects. So we not only do bird walks and classes on bird walks, but nature walks, workshops, and tours of all kinds. And added together, those non-birding ones that are open to the public had over 950 people participating this past year. Tons of different subjects, so like full moon walks, wildflower walks, those are especially abundant and special in the springtime. Insects, lots of butterfly walks this year, that was pretty special. Already talked about birds, but spiders and other wildlife rehab. So in partnership with the master naturalist, went to Blue Ridge Wildlife Center. Conservation history, that's thanks to partnership with NCTC and them generously opening up their space. Wellness walks across the Panhandle and more. This year, we are especially fortunate to have the support of Freedom's Run Community Education Grant that helped us figure out some things with building in just more structure and getting ourselves better organized to better help volunteers collaborate together with things like these working groups coming up. And speaking of that, the Wildflower Programs Working Group is happening on January 22nd, so another one coming right up. And the Eco Craft and Foraging Programs Working Group meeting is going to have a second meeting on February 3rd. We had our last one, our first one of the year last night, had a lot of great ideas. We're taking it to process. And then in a few weeks, we'll actually start to pencil in some dates. And if you want to get involved, don't worry if you missed that first meeting. You are welcome at any time. Of course, these programs are due in large part to volunteers, and a huge part of that is our wonderful partnership with the Potomac Valley Master Naturalists. So Master Naturalists contributed thousands of hours to serving our community this past year, including creating some of these educational opportunities, creating these opportunities for public programs for people to go on these walks and enjoy nature. So we are always glad to have them in our midst. This space is also pretty new to us in this past fiscal year. So monthly programs like this, right, where we have these lectures every month from September to March or September to May, excluding December. We changed here to this wonderful auditorium space. So we're very glad for the support of Shepherd Lifelong Learning Program. And of course, these recordings are online. We had some really cool ones. You can see that's just the snapshot there on the left of our YouTube channel where we post these online and they're on our website. Yeah, had speakers from West Virginia Rivers talking about water-related legislative updates this past year. Geology professor talking about springs in the Eastern Panhandle, and just so many things. I'm not going to list them all, but I know many in this room have enjoyed that, and those recordings are there for anyone to check. The Case Nature Center. So Kristen mentioned how this came into our midst a few years ago, and presently it is open Wednesdays 9:30 to 3. So had a lot of volunteer support in the past year, helping us make sure that we have these doors open on a mostly weekly basis. So these are our Nature Center ambassadors, who are the friendly faces that greet visitors when they come in. There we have like touch tables of different nature objects, things that people can and do borrow, like binoculars to take with them out into nature. And then, of course, meeting our animal ambassadors. The big story this year, the one that created a lot more moving pieces than we were expecting, was the story with our AmeriCorps team. So our public programs, as mentioned, like we volunteers are kind of the heart, the core of making those happen. But our AmeriCorps have been another really critical part of our team making our programs happen. They are the ones who are leading volunteer work days at our preserves. So very, very important for preserve management. They are the ones who have been in the schools, at the field trips, at summer camp. So a huge part of what we do. As Casey mentioned, the fiscal year is starting in September and then going to the end of August. So that aligns very well with the school year. So this is the team that managed the preserves under Casey. And then at the top is the educators that we had with us last school year into the summer. So all was going in planned until April. In mid-April, there was the sudden cancellation of our AmeriCorps program. Thankfully, we kind of saw it coming a little bit, enough to have a plan. And with the incredible support of our board, our programs kept going. The very next day, there was a field trip, the very next day, and the day after that, and the day after that, because that's what April and May is in field trip season, just one day after another. So to make a long story short with this, again, we had the incredible support of our board to dip as necessary into our emergency funds. Down there, people here can't see the logo, but High Rocks Educational Corporation based in Marlinton, they're our AmeriCorps partners. So they're the ones that write the grant to the AmeriCorps program and then have supplied us with them. So we are working closely with them during this time to get everything figured out. And then we figured out an internship that we would do with them. Yeah, and as it turns out, we had uninterrupted school and summer programs, right? This whole season of every single day, kids, field trips and summer camps. And very fortunate at very little financial loss to us. So it was an incredible turn of events, but it did change the way things are that are still affecting us to the present. So in fall of 2025, or really very late summer, the AmeriCorps program was reinstated, but at reduced capacity. So that is shaping up just how we're approaching things this year and how we're thinking about beyond. One thing that I did not mention down there, NRF, that is the Nora Roberts Foundation. And for quite a few years now, Nora Roberts Foundation has given us financial support to support these educators that do all of these wonderful, and Conservation AmeriCorps that do all these wonderful things. So over the last year, Turtle Time and Forest Story Time have been keeping these AmeriCorps educators pretty busy. Right now, we're not doing Forest Story Time, but we are doing Turtle Time. And what both of these are free drop-in events. So Turtle Time, the one at Cool Spring, Forest Story Time, the one at Yankauer. So at Turtle Time, we have our animal ambassadors, so turtles or snake. And Turtle Time is a chance for the public to drop by and meet them and learn about why they're there, right? These important conservation messages. Forest Story Time involved seasonally themed stories and hands-on activities at Yankauer. And all in all, over 500 people came to these last year, which was really, really great. Again, the change in AmeriCorps has impacted how things are this year, but we have been keeping Turtle Time going forward. And that's thanks to incredible volunteers that we have in our midst. So not only do we now have volunteers taking care of our animal ambassadors, like doing the regular feedings, and also giving them special attention, like bringing in blueberries for them. But we also have volunteers helping make sure that we're keeping Turtle Time happening. Just a few weeks ago, we had Turtle Time. We had 77 people come through the Nature Center for Turtle Time, and it was mostly volunteer run. And that's incredible. And we're so grateful to all these people. Last year, we also tried out something new, and that's schools out day camps. So building off the success of summer camp, we were like, hey, let's try having some camps on day when school just isn't in session. So that's what we did. We piloted that last year, did one on election day, one during Thanksgiving break, and then also spring break camp as well. And definitely heard a lot of gratitude from parents and families, since, work responsibilities go on, right? So for their kids to be able to have this enriching screen-free experience, while they can still do their work responsibilities, was a very, very nice thing, from them, as we were hearing. So again, reduced capacity this year, but we're trying to find every opportunity that we can to squeeze things in with the people that we have. So we actually did do Thanksgiving break camp this year. And we're very happy to do that. School programs. other than watershed. That's the caveat, because I'm gonna pass it to Laurel here in a minute to talk about watershed. Last school year, we served 1,278 kids in these programs. And these programs involve one class visit, and then one field trip each. And on a number of different topics, birds, trees, insects, decomposers. You can see them there on the right, having like such a fun time. And this is due to the support of the Eastern West Virginia Community Foundation, who for quite a number of years now has given us the support to offer, not just offer these programs, but offer these programs at no cost to the public schools in our region. So we're very happy to have been able to do that and looking forward to figuring out how to bring it back. But for the time being, we are focusing the energy that we have and the educator time that we have on our watershed program. So I'll pass it to Laurel. Thank you. To talk about that.
I'm Laurel Schwartz, and I have two big program areas. So my title is Program Specialist, but I do our watershed programs for fourth grade, and I also do summer camp as well. So that's what I'll be mainly talking about. So our watershed education program is a program that is very long running. We've been doing this in the schools for over 20 years now, and we serve basically all the fourth graders in Jefferson, Morgan, and Berkeley County in the public schools. And we've even branched out in the last few years to some private schools as well. So last year we reached 1,775 students through just our fourth grade watershed program alone. And just to give you a little bit of background of what this program looks like, we go into the schools, our educators go into the schools and teach 5 lessons to the students. So the first lesson focuses on like the properties of water, the chemical and physical properties, and the water cycle. They learn a little fun song to go along with the water cycle as well. It's always a hit. And then in lesson 2, they learn what a watershed is, what their school's watershed address is. Lesson 3, we bring in this cool tool called an Enviroscape, where the students are able to learn about pollution in a really hands-on way by making a town on this map and then using household items, sprinkles, chocolate sauce to simulate litter or sewage and see how those pollutants can get in the water. In lesson 4, they learn about water quality, what water quality is. We do some pH testing in the classroom, and then that's like their study session to bring onto their field trip where we do some more in-depth water quality testing. And then in lesson 5, we actually do a schoolyard investigation with the students. So we get the students out on their own schoolyard. We look for signs of habitat, so the students can tell us what they see, what animals they see around their schoolyard. And we also look for things that relate to the watershed, like how the rain drains off the school when it rains, where it goes. They identify drainage areas. And we get into all that, and then they make an action plan. So something that they're going to do to improve their schoolyard or their local community for the good of the environment, the good of the watershed. So it's a really awesome program to be a part of. And at the end of all those classroom lessons, those students get to go on a field trip, and it's an experiential learning field trip. So they go to a local park or even one of our nature preserves, and they actually get in the stream and they look for these critters called benthic macroinvertebrates. And they learn about how that relates to the water quality. They do water quality testing. She's holding one of our Lamont test kits there. And they go on a little habitat walk around the park as well. So these are just a few pictures from our watershed field trips. As you can see, the crayfish are always a really big hit. They love those. And then this little boy up here is holding up one of our charts that shows what category the different macroinvertebrates are in so that they can assess the water quality based on what they find that is living in the water. And then along with our watershed program, last year we were able to do a teacher professional development. And this is something that we've done in years past as well. But this year it attracted more teachers than ever. So we had 29 teachers from the local area. These could be middle elementary, high school teachers. They came out to NCTC, joined us for a kayak trip, got on the water. We did water quality testing. And then they came away with kind of practical tips of how they can get their students outdoors and increase environmental literacy in their classrooms. And it's all watershed focused as well. And then I actually got to go to Hog Island this August, and I took a Berkeley County teacher with me, Katie Kyle Holtz. We went out to Hog Island and had a really enriching professional development experience during their Educators Week. If you're interested to learn more about that, I actually did a monthly program on it a couple months back. So you can watch that and learn all about the history of that Educators Week. It's really long running professional development, really awesome. All right, and now I'll move on to Discovery Camp. So our camp is also a really long running program here at PVAS, but it has expanded in the last several years. So we offer lots of unique camp themes. So we get students outside. It suits many different interests for the students. So we have a camp survivor that tends to be one of our favorite, where we teach the kids about survival skills that are age appropriate, things like building a fire, learning first aid, all of that. We also have a new theater camp that we've done the last couple of years, and the kids put on a play for their parents and grandparents at the end of the week that they completely made up themselves. It's super fun. And this year we're bringing back Dirt Camp as well, just a camp all about getting messy and having fun in the outdoors. We also have counselors in training at our camp. So these are middle and high school students that have kind of aged out of our traditional camp experience, although we still do offer some camps for middle and high school that are tailored to them, but they can become counselors in training as well. So this is a leadership program that we do where these students can come and be a mentor to the younger campers and can still enjoy camp while also being in this leadership role and helping us set up crafts and helping us read stories to the children and do games and all that. Last camp season, we served 442 kids through our camps. Our camps are entirely outdoors. So we have, no screen time, like Sonia said, at our camps. And that makes us different than a lot of the camps in the local area where students are inside for a portion or a majority of the day. Our students are all outside our campers. So looking ahead this year, like Kristen mentioned, we have 11 weeks of camp. So this is a longer camp season than we've ever had before, but we're excited for it and we're ready to serve all those campers. And I think it's going to help out parents because they're always asking, well, what about that last week before we go back or they go back to school? So we are offering that now. And these are just a few photos that kind of encapsulate camp and what we do. So you can see kids over at Cool Spring getting on the bridge there and enjoying looking for fish and macroinvertebrates and crayfish, just like we do on those watershed field trips. And then arts and crafts are a big part of camp. We do have an earth art camp, so that one's super fun. Kids really enjoy getting out and doing those crafts that are nature inspired as well. And I'll also talk briefly about nature in the neighborhood. So this one is not my program area, but it's my coworker Amy's. So while I'm doing traditional camp over at Yankauer, she is out in the community doing nature in the neighborhood. So this past year, she's worked with CASA of the Eastern Panhandle, the Boys and Girls Club, the Martinsburg Housing Authority, and the Gateway Children's Garden, and brought our nature activities, crafts, programs, lessons out into the community where they're sometimes walkable or with intact groups. And it really helps us meet families and kids where they are. For those kids that might not be able to make it out to our camps, we can see them out in the community. So that is a really awesome program that we've been doing for the last few summers, and it will be continuing again this next summer. All right, pass it over to Ellen.
Coming up over here. So, I'm Ellen, and I do fundraising and communications for PVAS. So this is a little brief thing about that. So we started out with our fall, actually first, since it's fiscal year, our fall event, which was held at Sundogs Bed and Breakfast, hosted by Peggy and David Bowers, or Peggy Bowers and David Plummer, sorry. So that was the Fall Foliage Fiddles and Fair. So it was a great time of gathering everyone together. And then similarly, we had our spring event, which was called A Garden Party with a View. And that was at Hank Willard and Jeffrey Greer's house. So these were really fun events to get people together, enjoying the outdoors, and also a way to fundraise for our organization. So, and both of these events were supported in a big way by volunteers. So we don't actually have caterers, we have volunteers. So it's great to see everyone come out and support us in that way as well. So we have everyone cook things for us. They help us set up and tear down. And we cannot do these events without those people. If anyone wants to help be a party planner or cook something, we need some more people to join our event committee. So let us know for sure if you are interested in that at all. And then we had our membership dinner, which is a great way that all the members, it's a membership perk, so everyone gets to gather together, have some food, and celebrate also Jean Neely for her Founders Day. So we celebrate the whole organization. And then the fall auction is such a great way also to one, just reuse materials, reuse things that people have in their basements that have value but not to them anymore. So people will donate items or activities, and we have incredible volunteers that help us manage that as well. Jane Vanderhook and Gretchen Meadows really took that on, and they make this online auction a great success. So this race is for the birds. We had an awesome day. So this is our 5K, 10K race, and it was the 25th anniversary of it. So we added some more social aspects to it, like food trucks and live music and games for kids. So it was a really, really great day. Unfortunately, when we did some more analyzing of the staff time that it took to set the course and to find the sponsors and this, it's such a big event that unfortunately we're not able to raise as much money as it takes to put on the event. So for right now, we're pausing the race to really focus more on our core programs and the preserves. So we're really getting back to our mission with that. So, and then communication. So this is throughout the year, always trying to get people to learn more about PVAS. Through press releases, social media. We do a bi-weekly newsletter online called Heads Up, which Kathy Bilton helps with each time. And then we also have our quarterly newsletter that is sent out to members as a membership perk. And that's written by staff and volunteers and put together by Charlotte Fermo, who's done it for years and years and does such a great job of editing it and putting it all together. We also have outreach events that we go to get people to learn more about PVAS, as well as just being able to teach people more about how to bird in their own backyard, and how to get more native plants in the community. So it's a really great opportunity for people to learn about us, but also learn about how they can engage with the nature that's around them. And this is another way that we would love support and help. So we have a program where you can help us. I'll train you in on what to say and what to do. And you can go to some of these events or these farmers markets and talk about PVAS, get people involved and excited about nature. So we need some volunteers for that too. But all in all, a really good and very busy year of fundraising, community engagement, and communications. All right, next up is Kristen.
Yeah. So all of that is how we spend our time. And of course, when you have staff, time is money. So this is sort of an overview of how we raise money, but also how we spend money. I know Sonia mentioned that with the AmeriCorps cuts, the board did release some emergency funds to cover us for that period of time. And the backstory there is, yes, we did invest that money, but the other piece of that is the community donated so much money that actually helped us break even in the end. So those reserve funds that we were planning to spend that kind of fund was recharged in the end. Plus that and our partners helped chip in so much that we didn't actually need to release as many funds in the end as we thought. So anyway, the community support around Potomac Valley Audubon and the programs that we offer is just phenomenal, and we can't thank people enough. This is sort of a quick overview of, again, how we spend our money and how we earn our money. You can see contributions are our most significant source of income, and that comes from donations like our annual appeal, our summer appeal, where donors give very generously to help sustain our programs. There is some program revenue that we bring in. We do charge for certain programs, camp being the biggest one of our bread and butter program. But I will say that we also offer quite a few camp scholarships. So while we do earn quite a bit of money from camp, we still have a fund that will make sure that kids can still participate, even if they can't financially afford to do so. We make sure that that cost is never an obstacle to participation. The staff does a great job of grant writing and is amazingly successful at grants. We are trying, I'll talk about this a little bit more later, trying to not be dependent on grants. So grants come and go, and they're really hard to get for sustainability. I'm not a great sustaining source of income. And it's a lot of effort to get them, to implement them, and then, they go away. So they're fine for capital projects like certain programs and certain capital projects, but it's not something you want to depend on by any means, especially federal ones recently. Special events, those are the sorts of events like the fundraising events that Ellen talked about a little bit earlier. We did make some investment income. We've got a little smarter with our money this year. So we actually made some investments so we could earn some revenue on that money rather than just doing, CDs or money markets or whatever. And then some other odds and ends, membership, rental, etc. So that's kind of how we spend the money. Earn the money. And then our expenses, as you can see, so much of it goes towards program services. We do have some management in general. That is just the operational stuff behind the scenes. That is the cost of doing business, so to speak. And then there is some fundraising, just again, how to do some of those fundraisers, et cetera. Again, spending money to make money, so it allows us to do all of the programs that we know and love and are so valued in the community. I will say these numbers are audited numbers. If you look at just the cash basis, we actually were perfectly broke even last year. So that's the behind the scenes part. But once it's audited and you do other things like the Linda Case property acquisition and things like that, that's where the numbers get a little bit wonkier, but hopefully we'll be in really good shape next year. One of the things that we talked about in the annual report is the investments that PVAS has made. The board, as you can see, the staff works incredibly hard, and they are one of our most valuable assets between staff and volunteers and our community members. So the board really wanted to invest in staff this year. We actually approved a sabbatical policy. So after 10 years, a full-time employee is able to take a paid sabbatical. We revamped the employee handbook to reflect some of the changes that we'll talk about here in a minute. Power of Pause was basically just a gift that the board wanted to give the staff, where just a week, we get to choose the week, usually in August, after summer camp and before school season starts, just to close things down and take a rest. And we can't be bothering each other about work stuff. And the board covers the phone, they covered emails, they covered all those emergencies or things that might happen during that week, just to give everyone some downtime all at the same time. We did, in the end, for the new fiscal year, provide raises for staff. I will say that PVS staff is not in any way overpaid. We are pretty underpaid at the moment. So the board is really working diligently to try to get us up to what is a truly livable wage. And so they've really made great efforts to make PVAS staff be financially solvent. So they're amazingly working. They're so committed to the mission. We want them to be able to afford to work for PVAS too. So that's been amazing. One of the things that we've just added to is benefits for part-time staff. So they will actually have paid leave and things like that, which is a lovely, like paid vacation time, days off like Martin Luther King Day. They will get the day off on paid day off for Martin Luther King Day. And also we just want to make sure that the board really is making sure that we have opportunities for professional development. So it's just been a really good opportunity to invest in staff, like sending Laurel to Hog Island. Next week, there's an online conference that everybody has access to just be the best that we can be, keep on learning, learn the best practices across a nonprofit. The other thing that we did is we're trying to invest in financial stability of the organization. PVAS has always had 100% board participation in our annual appeal. It's something that the board is very, very committed to. The board has really shown up at all of our fundraisers and just really been rethinking about how we can best invest the financial savings that we have and making sure that we do have those reserves so that when crises happen, we have the reserves to handle that without missing a beat. And that was one of the big things this past year, was just a aha moment of, oh my gosh, those reserves really are that important, because you never know what's going to happen. And the other big investment we made in this past year was volunteers. It was another one of those aha moments of, oh, we need volunteers even more than we ever have before. So we had a volunteer coordinator come on board as a contractor. We're hoping that that position can continue in the future. That person has helped us do a much better job of recognizing volunteers and thanking them. We're doing a better job of communicating volunteer opportunities. Ellen mentioned a couple of volunteer opportunities or ways that you can be ambassadors out in the community for PVAS. These volunteer opportunities are now being communicated by an app. There's an app for that. Civic Champs is an app that helps communicate volunteer opportunities to our volunteers so that they know when there's an opening for another work day, or, oh, we have a farmer's market on Saturday the 25th. Is anybody able to come and cover that and be an ambassador for us that day? Day of Caring is coming up, all those sorts of things. So it's just a much, much better way of communicating and making sure people know about volunteer opportunities. And not to mention the animal ambassadors, taking care of the animal ambassadors. All right. And looking forward, the board just on Saturday, and staff as well, had a retreat. Sundogs B&B graciously hosted, and Ashley Sanders of Sanders Strategic Solutions facilitated for us. Both pro bono, both very generous and fantastic. So just a quick inside scoop. These are some of the goals that we have set forth for us for the next 5 years or so. In conservation and preservation, we really want to help Casey with some preserve management. Like, she has 578 acres to take care of, pretty much single-handedly, except for those amazing volunteers, and Tony is helping us with facilities. So it's a lot, and we need to get her some help to manage that and keep everybody safe and the preserves healthy, invasive removal, new trees, etc. So we want to be the best conservation professionals we can be with those nature preserves. We want to contribute more to community science. Some of these scientific studies are really paving the way for monitoring climate change. So we want to make sure that we help contribute to those scientific data so that we can help see what's going on in the natural world. And also, we really want to be the best native plant educators that we can be, promoting native plants to get them out in the community and help people understand the benefits of going native. In terms of education, we really want to increase the capacity for summer camp. We're already doing that by adding this extra week. But we think there might be some other opportunities, and we also want to reach to more diverse audiences. Nature in the Neighborhood is a great way to do that, but we're also thinking, what if we got a whole group from the Boys and Girls Club and we brought them all out, transported them to a week of summer camp at the nature preserve? You know, what if we partnered with other organizations and got them not just in the neighborhood, which is also very important. We want to continue doing that. But what if we got them into a more natural setting to a true camp experience? And we also, of course, need a new staffing structure because we can't rely on AmeriCorps. And we've quite frankly been quite thrilled with AmeriCorps. The lesson learned is that AmeriCorps, well, not having AmeriCorps is going to cost us about 4 times more. So AmeriCorps saved us a lot, like 75% savings. So we are having that moment of, okay, what do we do now? So do we create our own intern program? Do we partner with another organization? Do we just hire hourly professional educators? You know, what is the best case scenario for us, both financially, professionally, all of those considerations. And then the development goals, we need to be less dependent on grants. So we already talked about that. And, you know, as we mentioned with the race, you know, those events can be really staff intensive, time intensive. So they end up costing as much as you earn, and that's not good for anybody. Board and volunteers have really taken on more of the, like the fundraising event roles, like the auction was almost entirely volunteers. The event at Sun Dogs B&B was almost entirely volunteers. So the board and other volunteers are really trying to lighten the staff load, which is tremendous. But again, kind of getting away from events a little bit. And that's one of the reasons that we decided to let the race go after 25 years. We lose a little bit of money by not doing the race, but most of that is through sponsors. So we're thinking, well, let's get sponsors to sponsor something else that's more mission related. So we don't really lose that money in the end. It's just a different opportunity and probably a more mission centric opportunity. We really want to grow the endowment that we have, but that is at the Eastern West Virginia Community Foundation. It's an endowment that Jean created 20 years ago, maybe, that has been at the Community Foundation. It was very limited. It was only for programs at Yankauer. And we asked Jean about 2 years ago if that could be broadened. So now it is completely for operational funds for Potomac Valley Audubon to do programs, conservation, etc. So now that it is much more usable, we are able and wanting to grow that because that's going to be extraordinarily helpful over time. So we don't spend so much time fundraising, we spend more time doing the programs that we want to be doing. And related to that, we're going to launch hopefully this year some sort of legacy society. So people who want to give a bequest to PVAS, either to the endowment or to in another way, they have the opportunity to do that. And there are some perks to becoming a member of the legacy society that have yet to be determined, but it's one of those things that we're going to be working on and learning about. All right. And all of that is to say, it has been a very long year and lots of exciting stuff to look ahead to. But every once in a while, we have these yay moments, like we're doing good work, and these little pat on the back moments. So this is that moment. It was for me. I got a little giddy when I saw this. And how do I push play? I just I have no idea.
You tap the screen.
That's right. All right, so Casey showed this. So Tony, our land and facilities person, was out in the nature preserve. You may recall a couple years ago, we purchased Linda Case's property to preserve and protect the remaining part of the Bullskin and Cool Spring Marsh. And so this was filmed in that new section that we protected last year. Uh-oh, yes, that worked? No. Is it going? Yeah. Well, you're gonna get out of that.
There you go.
I wish I had gone with one.
It's what it is.
This is shot on a cell phone, very zoomed in.
I'll do the sound effect. Okay. So this is our reward for all the hard work over the years with the nature preserves and all the stress that they create. But just knowing that wildlife that was once extirpated is back. The beavers a couple years ago, now a river otter. So exciting. So between that and hearing the laughter and the kids playing and all the summer camps and the school programs, it's just very empowering, enriching, makes me happy. And I'm just so grateful to everyone for helping to make it happen. The amazing staff team, we have an amazing board, and an amazing community to serve. So we're just very grateful for all of a successful year and very excited about what the future will bring. Again, next month we'll be here again. We'll be doing the same time, same place, and learning more. Next time will be more about more of the traditional program about, in this case, raptors. But I'd be happy to answer any questions, or anybody, any of the staff would be happy to answer any questions that you might have about the past year or the year to come.
Is Elon open for hiking? Because it was closed because they were hunting on it, right?
Yeah, it's open now. There's one more weekend this month. It might be this coming weekend. I don't recall off the top of my head, but for the most part, hunting season is over.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yes, you go check out the new parking lot.
Yeah, because when I was there when the old parking lot was there, you're right, it was pretty small.
Very
It's
small.
really small. And like Casey said, if one person parked a
Yeah.
little out of place, yeah, you're out of luck.
Yeah, Kristen was visiting. Everybody else had parked there. It's in our parking lot.
Casey's very judgy about people's parking. Why did you? Other questions? I like that. Eidolon is the only preserve that we allow hunting on to the public, and that is specifically because Mrs. Napoleon, the donor, insisted on that as part of her bequest. She really wanted it to be used for, food opportunities for her, for the community. And it has the added perk, the deer are not as bad there. The browse there is not nearly as bad as at our other preserves. So there are baby oaks there that you don't see at our other preserves. So
And that's what I get giddy about. Every time I do a baby oak, do it.
not about the honor, it's about the oaks. Any other questions? Well, thank you for coming out on this January evening. We appreciate it. Thank you for being part of this amazing community and for all of your support with all PVAS programs and the preserves and everything else. We can't thank you enough. So thank you.
I know, don't clap, just throw money, throw money.
Rather than the tomatoes.
That's true.
I'll take money or tomatoes any day.
All right.
Except if you coins, I don't want coins.
Okay. Wanna go?
That would hurt. Not right now. That would hurt. Yes.
Uh,